So last week I made a video on making an MPE bass guitar. And towards the end of that video, I lamented that there was no convolution reverb in Surge because I really wanted to use a bass amp cabinet impulse response to really nail the sound that I was looking for. But then I got a comment telling me that there actually is a convolution reverb in the latest nightly build. So a big thank you to Thorn for pointing this out. And it also turns out I'm pretty sure Thorn is the one who wrote this convolution reverb. So thank you for that too. So if you want to try this out, go to the Surge page and, oh, there's Roger. Hi, Roger. Downloads for other platforms and installers. Surge XT nightly builds. And I would read the caveats here. You want to be careful with this. This is not necessarily the most fully tested build that you can download. It's been fine for me so far, but you know that also depends on what night I downloaded it versus what night you might download it. So just be careful here, read the caveats, and I would also add anytime you're doing a new Surge install to back up your patches folder somewhere safe, because I have more than once lost all my patches from installing a new version of Surge. I did have backups though, so I wasn't completely screwed. But even if you don't want to download it right now, I just wanted to let you know that this change is coming. And I knew it was coming because they asked me to, the person writing this convolution reverb asked me if I had any impulse responses to share. And I did. Capturing or making impulse responses is a favorite hobby of mine. And so I had a bunch, and it is really cool to get to share them. So here we have my double reed instrument. This is a combination saxophone and duduk. I think I might have explained the making of it in my video on wavetables. And this sound will also probably be in a future version of Surge. So if I go over here and add an effect, now we have convolution in time and space. So I'm going to pick the init dry. And I really like convolution as a sound design tool, and I use the convolution reverb on like all my sounds. It's just after Surge in the chain. But it's neat to have it inside Surge because sometimes the convolution is really an integral part of the sound. It's the body of the instrument. So if I come down here to thoughtForm, which is misspelled, I'll see if I can get them to, they might have a style guide here that tells them that everything has to be capitalized. But it should be a lowercase t, and that's important because I'm not the only thoughtForm in the music world. I'm not even the only thoughtForm making synthesizer videos on YouTube. So, but this is me. And I have some instrument bodies. I've got some cellos. This one seems to get very resonant down on the low end, so you might turn down the mix some. And I have some here. All the ones named faux are named for the faux rangi, my homemade fiddle with sympathetic strings. which you can hear if I turn the mix up some. And I capture these impulses by just sticking a microphone close to the instrument and tapping on the bridge or the body or somewhere. I don't hit it too hard because I don't want to harm the instrument, but just enough to get it to resonate a little bit, to get the little ping of the impulse response. And I think this is really invaluable, especially if you're synthesizing an acoustic instrument, in getting beyond that basic synthesizer sound and giving it a little color and flavor of the real world. This one's kind of fun. This is my own instrument, because it does make a ping sound when you tap on it. I probably wouldn't describe it as a ping sound, except that I just did. So this is what your instrument would sound like if it was an actual acoustic instrument, sort of. This, of course, is the instrument 200. If you have a 128, you could bring this size down to something like 64. So I shared the news I wanted to share. This feature is coming. It's pretty awesome. And for the rest of this video, I'm just going to go through and tell you about a couple more of my impulses because I really like them. So I'm going to set up a second convolution. Go back here. I'm going to keep the instrument, and I'm actually going to make it a little bigger. I'm going to give it a size of 118. And in the reverb slot, go to canyons. All my canyons are from Utah, and most of them are from Snow Canyon, just outside of St. George, my favorite place in the world. And these Johnson canyons have a lot of sentimental value for me. Getting too much resonance from the instrument, so turn its mix down some. It does have there's like a middle low E that has a lot of resonance to it. Since I changed the size, it's probably coming down a bit. Yeah, now it's the D. Too much there. The instrument might not be the most practical resonator to use. So Johnson Canyon, it is a part of the larger Snow Canyon Park. I was there with my brother and my sister-in-law on vacation, and I was really into taking impulse responses at the time. But there were people in the canyon making noises, which doesn't help. So my brother and I got up super early in the morning, before the sun was up. This was in late December, probably. And took a nice, very dark hike into the canyon, and you get to the end of it, it's kind of a cul-de-sac, and there's reflections on all sides, and it sounds really great. And very close to Johnson Canyon is Jenny's Canyon, which is this tiny little thing. I'm not sure if I'm remembering correctly, but I think there are parts of it where you can touch both walls with either hand as you're walking through it. Very narrow canyon. And I've got some that are just taken inside my house. But there's still some good indoor kind of reverbs. And the great thing about this, of course, is that you're not limited to the included impulse responses. You can load your own. You can load your own sounds in here. And an impulse response, if you don't know, it's just a wave file. A short tick, smacking your instrument, or going to a canyon and popping a balloon. The professionals, I think, would use a starter pistol. I'm not comfortable going around firing starting pistols, but that's the best way to do it, I think. But they're a lot of fun to make and to use and to experiment with. And then there's the Tetanus machine, which is this box that has springs and strings and prongs and all kinds of interesting things nailed to it, and then you can hit it with a stick. And these fractals were from a very weird and impractical idea. So I like to make fractal art using Mandelbulb 3D. I've got several videos on here that are, fractal fly-throughs. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could get an impulse response from one of these fractals? So I built an app to take 4 images, 2 color images and 2 depth images. And these are all 360-degree renders from inside of one of these fractals. It's not really a commercially viable project, and also I had problems with it and gave up on it. But I did get some cool impulses out of it. And we've also got other people's sounds, which I have not tried all of them yet. Voxengo. I wonder if this is the same Voxengo that made a lot of plugins I used to use back in the day. Probably. It's a unique enough name. Maybe one of these cabinets is what I was looking for that bass. Let me go get my bass. Direct cabinet N4. Let's just see if there's anything. When you're using a cabinet, you often want the mix up to 100. They have some factory cabinets. I don't know what DAC is. Let's compare that with the dry signal. It's definitely making a meteor down there. So you can find some cabinets in there. You can also find cabinets and other things online. Just search for impulse responses. There are a lot of free ones out there. I need to go back to, let's try Deduct 2. This is my new Deduct. Let's see if Airwindows has any cool reverbs for us. I talked about Airwindows also in the bass video. Very cool guy. Outdoor Stadium. Castle Thunder. That sounds like a good place for a Deduct, right? No, Giant Cave. Maybe want a lower mix and a slightly smaller cave. I don't know if Airwindows is using recorded impulses from real places. I would guess that he just codes all this stuff because he's good at that. Castle Thunder. Voxengo has a small prehistoric cave. It's probably going to be more practical most of the time. These BXs, I'm guessing, are from some reverb unit. Did I try a DAC cabinet yet? I don't remember. I don't know what DAC is. This is sounding like a guitar amp. Guitar amp often sounds really good after a distortion. Just turn this down a bit. So if you're ever wondering what it sounds like to run a Deduct through a guitar amp, it might sound a little bit like that. Okay, so this feature is coming. I'm looking forward to it. I should probably go back and reinstall the released version rather than the nightly so that I don't accidentally use any features that don't exist yet. But I'm really happy about this. I'm happy that my sounds are in there. I'm happy that the feature is in there. I think it's an excellent addition and one that I've been waiting for a while. Okay, see you next time.